Yes.
Very cool.
Sorry.
Not a problem.
Good day, everyone. We are here on Google Hangout today with my longtime friend Samuel Sennott. Sam, can you introduce yourself and say what you do?
Sure. Good to see you, Latif. I just got a new position at Portland State University as an assistant professor, and I just finished up my PhD last summer, and I focus on augmentative and alternative communication, research and development, and just initiated a new lab here at Portland State University called the Universal Design Lab, and the U Lab for short. So it's good to connect with you again. It's been too long.
Yes. It has. How did you get involved in designing an AAC app?
Well, it happened kind of in a flash. I remember when the iPhone, right when it came out, I saw it and Steve Jobs kind of holding it up and seeing the feature set of the touchscreen and the portability. I had been working helping individuals who use AAC for a number of years, and had been teaching in a classroom with students who mostly used AAC to communicate. Um, and those students were having difficulty obtaining AAC systems. It was taking a long time through their insurance, and the process of assessment to acquisition of a full computer-based speech-generating device was taking a long time. So I had that kind of in the background, and when I saw the iPhone came out, I actually saw a little music app where people were doing sound samples, and I said, "Huh, wow, the App Store wasn't available yet, right? It was just the jailbroken iPhone." And I said, "Oh, I've been recording voices," and the kids I worked with use those little step switches, and the ones you record other human voices with, and then give it to the child or person, and they can tap it, and it speaks out that recorded message. Well, we got so frustrated recording these same age, same gender peers that we ended up recording them with iPods and then using the free program Audacity to make them pitch them up so that it wasn't an adult voice. We turned them into child voices. And so I had all these sound samples from that, and I took that and collaborated with this hacker online, and who was making a jailbroken app, and we made the first kind of AAC app for the iPhone. And I remember I showed it at Closing the Gap, and I got to hold it up, and everyone was kind of like, "Oh, cool!" Like they didn't know what to think of it because the iPhone was so new. And I showed it around to a few people. Dave Niemeyer from AssistiveWare was one of them I showed the app to, And he said some really good advice. He said it needs to be through the App Store. It can't be jailbroken because parents and people are going to rely on this technology. And I remember right when he said it, I knew that was true because it has to work. It has to work well. So that time kind of came and went, right? Before the App Store, and the App Store launched to great success. And I reached out to Dave Niemeyer again, and he said, "Yeah, I'll help you build this app." And he had some ideas to do the same thing, and we came together. And I went up to my parents' house in Vermont and left my work, did a little bit of a sabbatical, and we spent many months kind of him in his little office in Amsterdam, and myself in my parents' basement in Vermont. And that's how I got into co-creating an AAC app for iOS.
Oh,
That's kind of the backstory.
Cool.
It was really cool.
What was that? First, jail. Broken. App. Called.
I had named it I Can Chat, and yeah, it was just a prototype really, but it worked. And I remember I showed it to a couple people in the field at that conference, and one kind of famous person, creator of AAC technology said, I don't know, it seems kind of like just like a Palm Pilot or something. And he said, why is this different? I remember going, because it's Apple, and kind of feeling a little just like nervous. Like I kind of knew Apple was cool at the time, but Apple hadn't fully blown up again. And it turns out that that was a very true statement, that Apple was so cool. I mean, it was. Remember you tested out ProLiquid Ago. You were one of the first people to use AAC on mobile devices. It was so fun. It was so neat because it was so much more widely available, and it was new and very it was just exciting because it was this thing we've never done before. Have this little tablet or the little small phones where we had a full computer. It was great.
What is ProLiquid Go? And why was it needed in the AAC field?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you're asking why was it needed? Yeah. I think that the main thing, Latif, was that there were hundreds of thousands of children in the U.S., millions of people in the U.S., and millions of people around the world that can't afford an $8,000 device. And that even if we say that it's funded by entities like CMS, Medicare, and Medicaid services, we found out that there was discrimination. It was a issue of people feeling like people who couldn't speak didn't deserve that expensive device. And so that problem was, it irked me because I care a lot about these kids that I serve and individuals that we serve in our community. And so it was a very logical next step to try to make these tools more available, more accessible to people. So I think that was the real powerful issue, and it was featured in the New York Times, right? They said this mom, Kara, who had ALS and the young son with Down syndrome, the government would buy them about $15,000 worth of AAC technology, but they could only hold the smaller device, and they wouldn't buy them the iPhone and iPod, respectively. And that issue, I think, was really important to bring to the forefront. Right now, it seems like it's becoming less of an issue because so many people have mobile devices. But if you look at it, still mobile devices are pretty expensive, and the apps have gotten kind of expensive. I know some of the apps have gone up in price, and overall, I think it's still an issue because you and I are early adopters. We kind of put this technology high up on our list of priorities, but there's plenty of people who still can't afford augmentative and alternative communication tools or speech-generating devices. So, but that was one of the main reasons. I think another reason why ProLoquo Go was built and is successful is that this thing we've talked a lot about, this coolness factor, that it's a cool platform, iOS. It's nice to use, it works well, but it also has this inclusive factor that in this case can be that everybody's doing it is a good thing. The iPhone's cool, and yeah.
What got you personally connected to this issue?
When I was 19 years old, I left college and volunteered at this community center outside of Boston, Massachusetts, started by Sharon Lisnow and Mary McQueenie. Sharon had a young son with cerebral palsy named Michael, and he was really well included in his public elementary school, the same school system my father went to as a child. And coming to that center, I found my life's work, and was holding these kids. I remember this one little girl who couldn't speak and was blind. Really changed me as a person, Latif. I realized how cool these people with various disabilities were, and met some of the best friends in my life, and realized that I'm a teacher, and saw that I have this chance to kind of lend a hand to these people that had become my friends, who, for various reasons couldn't speak, right? Because people who can't speak, who need to use AAC, these other ways to communicate, it happens for all different reasons, and it can happen to you anytime in your life. And so coming to that center really inspired me, and working with these young children with autism or Down syndrome, kind of chasing them around the playground, and realizing that they need help in this area. And then having my first classroom and seeing these kids who were so smart and such wonderful people, and that they need to be able to share that with communication in the best way and most efficient way that they can. So that was my inspiration, and it still is. When I go out to schools, just the last week or two, I feel like it's really the heart of the work was learned from this respite center. It's all about people.
Yes. It. I. Is. To. My. Previous. Question. There. Is. Still. A. Debate. In. For. Medicare. To. Fund. Mass. Produce. Tablet. Tablets. And. Phones. For. A. A. C. Use. Use. What? Would. You. S. Yes, it is. To my previous question, there is still a debate for Medicare to fund mess. Good day, everyone. Say. To. The. Policy. Makers. On. The. Potential. Of. This. Technology. Yes, it is. To my previous question, there is still a debate for Medicare to fund mass-produced tablets and phones for ACUs. What would you say to the policymakers on the potential of this technology?
I'd say that the potential for using things like the iPad and Android devices, whether they be tablets like the iPad or iPod Touch, things that are smaller, or even the new watches, is that more people who struggle to communicate will be able to communicate. It's fairly simple. And the risk is also very low. If you have a doctor's note and a note from a speech pathologist, and it's usually pretty clear that you need to use an AAC system. Sometimes folks, I know some folks with autism where they can speak, but they get nervous, or they have various parts of their communication disability that are kind of hidden. But the point is that most people who need AAC, it's a part of their life, and they need the right tools. And with the right tools, like, I mean, Latif, you're such a good example that you have the right tools and you do amazing things in your life. And so it's that simple, is that if you give people the tools, it's going to be easier for them. So why not is really the I think the advice I would have. And when you start to bring up the risks about fraud and health insurance fraud, like I said, doctor's note, either speech pathologist or some sort of rehabilitation specialist note in combination with a doctor's note, the risk becomes very low. It's minimal. I actually think it's a lot less risky than some other procedures and things that are easily funded by Medicare and Medicaid. Now, I'll also say that I think Medicare and Medicaid are probably ready to move in this area. I had a meeting a number of years ago now with a high-level representative with a congressperson on the Hill. They seemed all for it. Yeah, it could be a good issue to work further on, because it's a problem if you can't afford buying one of these devices and you need it. There should be someone there to help you. And I think with ProLiquid Go, we did a pretty good job, David and I, of bringing the prices down to a divisor of 10, but it's still very expensive. And I'm real thankful that David, so thankful for him, and for that he had the time and the willingness to collaborate, and the skill. I mean, the Mac development community was much smaller at the time. Now with the App Store, it's become huge. But so the people are there, ready to build the tools, and the expense is really the hardware now. So yeah, I think why not is a good way to phrase it, rather than why should we do this. It's kind of why not. It's more affordable. There are reasons to have dedicated devices for alternate access, like Toby's technology with their eye tracking is a perfect example. That's still very expensive technology because it's not mass produced yet. So there's still a need for dedicated hardware, but much less so today.
What do you think the future of AAC apps will be?
Well, I think we've seen some of the future. There sure are a lot of them, huh, Latif? So I think one of the big things I saw with the announcements of iOS 8 and OS X Yosemite is this tighter integration of the keyboard and kind of these flexible keyboards into the operating system. And I think that's where AAC is going, is that AAC should be available to you. AAC should be available all the time. And that should go with you on the web, that should go with you on your mobile device. It shouldn't be that you have to pop open your dedicated app. It should be that your app is with you in whatever app you're already in. And I think there's signs of this with the split screen version of feature of iOS 8 that's not been released yet. That's just a rumor right now, or they have some screenshots, and We saw that word prediction in iOS 8 is a kind of feature that's built into the keyboard. So a lot of important features of AAC systems are becoming part of the operating system. So I think integration is one, and I think the second thing for the future of AAC is this idea that we've talked a lot about. Michael Williams. You don't actually live that far from him in the valley there, Bay Area. Just a pioneer in AAC, and I've always been impressed with something he wrote and has talked about, that he has an AAC device for all different situations. He doesn't just have one device, and he might use gestures or typing on a piece of paper with letters on it for one situation. He might have his speech-generating device for another situation. I remember reading when he was younger, before computers, he would type out messages, and I think that writing and your writing can be a form of your AAC system. But the point is, with these new devices coming out, I think it's going to be that right now there's not good integration across devices, and I think that's something that the future of AAC will bring about. I like the idea of I just won a grant to help kids on the playground, right? And that they can't carry even the iPod, on the playground, because they need their hands to climb, or they need to push their wheelchair. And so we can put put a watch on their wrist and put their AAC system into a more wearable device. So I think integration, this multi-device and kind of wearable component's going to be a bigger part of AAC. And I think the third part is the cost. I think the cost is going to come down quite a bit with more competition.
Congrats. On the grant that sounds exciting. Congrats on the grant. That sounds exciting.
Thank you very much, Latif.
How did the voices get created for the C apps? Abe.abe.c. App. How did the voices get created for the AAC app?
You mean the new children's voices? No, just for the first AAC app that I did? No.
For the original.
Oh, sure.
Proliquo to go? For the original Proliquo to go?
Yeah, there's a few really great companies that make these voices. The one we chose to use was Acapella, and they have this really cool process where they combine linguistics and a recording process with these. So it's a recording process of human voices, and then this refined algorithm of that involves linguistics and parsing out pieces. It's some of it's from their work, and a lot of it's built on the foundation people like Ray Kurzweil built, and the different previous iterations of the Nuance company. But yeah, really interesting stuff. It's exciting hearing about that new project, Vocal ID or Vocality, where they're taking the text-to-speech, computerized sounding text-to-speech voices, and then infusing them with different people's kind of spirit, if you will, but pieces of their voices. But yeah, it's a real interesting process. But yeah, we were fortunate that the a cappella group had some good text-to-speech voices and a plug-in for the iPhone when we first created Proloquo to Go. And Assistiveware had a really good partnership with them from their previous work.
Hmm?
7. Did anything surprising/funny/unexpected happen while you were working on this app?
There's one good one. The first time Proloquo to Go was submitted to the App Store, it was rejected, and one of the reasons was there was an AAC symbol of Steve Jobs, and they said that you couldn't have likenesses of Steve Jobs, and there was a couple other symbols of people that they said they didn't want at the time, but I thought it was kind of funny.
Interesting. I would think they would be flattered. Interesting. I would think they would be flattered.
Sure, definitely.
Hmm.
Latif, can I ask you a question? What do you think's needed in AAC right now?
You. For me. I would like To have more faster communication. And I think that the whole A dot A A dot C field needs to be more accepted in the wider society. So it is more common place to people. For me, I would like to have more faster communication, and I think that the whole AAC field needs to be more accepted in the wider society so it is more commonplace to people. Ironically, that was my last question is to ask you if you had any questions for me. Ironically, that was my last question, is to ask you if you had any questions for me.
What advice do you have for the parents and the teachers that are helping these younger kids who use AAC? I know you're on the grant that I'm applying for to focus on modeling AAC, but is there anything that you'd tell parents and teachers about how to help younger children and I guess just students, people in school?
I think For me, it is important for children who have both mobility and speech. Impairment. Impairments. 2. Know that one day they will be adults and they have to be assertive enough to command the respect of everyone around them. I think for me it is important for children who have both mobility and speech impairments to know that one day they will be adults and they have to be assertive enough to command the respect of everyone around them.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So parents and teachers can support that process. That's powerful. Nice. Thanks, Latif. Thanks for sharing that.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
See, we'll have to do this more often. It feels like we're right here. It's the high quality internet is.
Yes. I related. Feel like the Jetsons. Yes, it feel like the Jetsons.
Yeah, jet packs and teleporting and yeah, this definitely feels like teleporting. I never get over video conferencing either. It's good to be excited about little things like that. You know? I think it's good. we get so used to technologies and take them for granted. It's good to be thankful.
Yeah.
Chief, I would say, I felt like when you asked me what kind of the future of AAC is, I'd revise my answer. And we didn't talk about how important the people are, like the adults, and this idea of modeling AAC. To me, that's the most important thing about AAC is giving people the access, and part of that is, showing people what's possible. And the neat thing about AAC is that even if people don't model it to you, like sign language or speech, because you can just press the buttons and it speaks and does it out loud, you can actually model for yourself. So that's a way to work around, not having people as supportive as possible. But for every other language that we learn, modeling's so important, and I think that's oftentimes lost. And I know we were talking specifically about kind of the technologies, but I would just add or kind of finish with that the human technology is really the most important.
Yes. That is exactly right. Yes, that is exactly right.
So, Latif, this radio show you're doing, very cool stuff.
Thank you. The show will be on in September.
Okay. Okay, great. Terrific. Nice.
Okay. I will talk to you later.
Terrific. Good talking to you, Latif. Talk to you next time, and let's keep in touch. And I'll keep you updated about that grant.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Bye, Latif. Have a good rest of your morning.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for the opportunity. See you, man.
Yar. Welcome.
You had a little accent there, a little yar. That was good. Bye, Latif.